Everything you need to know about the United Nations. I'm Nora, and this podcast is all about making the big, sometimes intimidating organization you hear about in the news, the United Nations, understandable, relatable, and honestly, kind of fascinating. Unplugged is an independent podcast and is not affiliated with or endorsed by the United Nations. Each episode will break down what the UN actually does, from its peacekeeping missions to humanitarian work, climate efforts, and global goals, and shed light on the projects and stories you don't always hear about on the news. Because even though the UN might seem far away, the work it does affects every corner of the world, including yours. But before we discuss what the UN is doing today, we need to start with the basics. What is the UN, and how did it begin? Let's rewind all the way back to the early 1900s. After World War I ended in 1918, the world was devastated and desperate for peace. To prevent another catastrophic war, countries came together to form the League of Nations in 1920, the first international organization designed to maintain peace and settle disputes diplomatically. It was quite a bold idea, nations working together instead of fighting each other. The League had some serious flaws. Ironically, the United States never joined, even though it was President Woodrow Wilson who had championed the idea. The League also lacked real power. It couldn't enforce decisions or stop aggression effectively. There were quite a few reasons for this, like the fact that the League had no military force, its economic sanctions were ineffective, and all decisions had to be unanimous among the organization's permanent members, which made decision-making slow and unproductive. So when Japan invaded Manchuria in 1931, and later when Germany and Italy began expanding in the 1930s, the League stood by, powerless. And we all know what came next: World War II. Out of that global tragedy, the world tried again, this time determined to build something stronger and much more effective. In 1945, representatives from 50 countries met in San Francisco to draft a new charter. The goal? To prevent another world war, promote human rights, and encourage both social and economic progress. And on October 24th, 1945, the United Nations officially came into existence, a date now celebrated every year as United Nations Day. The UN's mission was clear but ambitious: maintain international peace and security, develop friendly relations among nations, and promote cooperation to solve global problems. Today, the UN has 193 member states, which is basically every country on Earth. It's built around 6 main bodies, like the General Assembly, where every member can voice their concerns and bring issues forward for all members to tackle. Then there's the Security Council, which can authorize peacekeeping missions or sanctions. The Security Council is made up of 5 permanent members and 10 non-permanent members that rotate every year. Then there's the Secretariat and the International Court of Justice. There are also several specialized agencies like UNICEF, WHO, and UNESCO, each tackling global challenges from education to health to humanitarian aid. And of course, the UN isn't perfect. It's often criticized for the dominance of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council: the US, the UK, France, Russia, and China, who each hold veto power. But despite its flaws, the UN remains the only place where nearly all the world's nations sit down to talk, debate, and try, even if imperfectly, to solve problems together. And that's exactly what this podcast is about. Because while the UN's history is fascinating, what's even more interesting is what it's doing right now. From conflict zones to refugee camps, from climate summits to humanitarian aid operations, there's incredible work happening that often flies under the radar. So in future episodes, we'll dive into the UN's current missions, its challenges, and the stories of the people behind that iconic blue flag. Thanks for listening to Unplugged, everything you need to know about the United Nations. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show and stay tuned. Next time, we'll explore the UN's more current work and whether it's still living up to its original promise. I'm Nora, and I'll see you next time.